Sobriety essay number 68. The steps in me. The steps are not work as long as I'm doing them. They're work when I'm not doing them and should be doing them. Now, I just did not catch on or even know what I was doing when I got sober. Being told to go to 90 meetings in 90 days was not possible. But I did do today 90 times. In sobriety, I learned to write. It started when I was new and wanted to say something or ask something of my sponsor. At 2 in the morning, sponsors can be a bit rude when called at 2 in the morning. So I would write him a letter about what I was feeling and give it to him at the next meeting. Wanting to write a book, I discovered I would write for a while and get sidetracked and never come back and finish. It was called a lack of fortitude. I could not write a book, but discovered I could write essays, just 2, 3, or 4 pages in length, capturing a feeling, a lesson learned, and experience. I wrote an essay called Step 3 and Married. Sent it to the grapevine. While they liked the story, they changed the title. They changed the title to Whose Marriage Was It Anyway? Published December 2006, I became an international author. When I was new, and maybe you are new, I wanted to know how the steps work. In my everyday life, how do they work in a marriage? How do they work in the workplace? How do they work out there in the streets? So for me, it took a while to learn they work in all areas of my life. My sponsor sat down with me and went through the steps one word at a time, explaining that the steps were written in the past tense, a simple list of what people before me had done. These are the steps we took. He made a statement about step 3 that had and has a tremendous influence on my life. First, he said, Chuck, you contribute to your marriage to the best of your ability, so if it does not work out, you can walk away with the least amount of guilt or resentment. He continued, guilt and resentment will get you drunk. So I started to contribute to my marriage. I later learned to apply the word contribute in all my affairs. So I started to do things for my wife to please me instead of doing things for my wife to please her. At about 11 months, I was riding home from a meeting when I had an inspirational thought. I could not fix my marriage. I could not make it work. So I said, okay, God, you decide how you want it to turn out. I just gave my marriage to God. 2 weeks later, it was like throwing a light switch. One day it wasn't working, and the next day it was. The anger was gone. The past was let go of. That marriage lasted 51 years until God took her home. There's a second part to my sponsor's statement that still has a big influence on my daily life. My sponsor said it is perfectly okay to turn your will and your life over to the care of God. But if you turn your electric bill over to the care of God, you're going to sit in the dark for a long time. If you have a job to do, get off your dead ass and do the job. That statement, in turn, caused me to create a prayer that I still say today. When I wake up, I say, God, please grant me the willingness to do whatever it is I'm supposed to do today. Amen. I do not tell God what I think He should be doing, and I do not tell God what I think I should be doing. I just want to get up and have the willingness to do whatever is put in front of me. Interesting, several years later, I found a line in the 12 and 12 on page 34. There is only one key, and it is called willingness. Let me tell you a story about willingness. I was about 6 months sober, carpooling to work with a guy that was a programmer. We were both working in aerospace, and I knew nothing or very little about computers. This was before Google. Out of the clear, I said, I would like to learn how to do what you do. Made no sense at all. He invited me down to his office. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, he would teach me to be a programmer and produce reports. I went down to his office every Tuesday and Thursday for 4 years. Now that was willingness. At 4 years sober, I was promoted to master programmer. I skipped a level, became a member of the management computer staff in a very large corporation. What was funny is I could not read the book on programming. When the human mind is free from drugs and alcohol, it can absorb a tremendous amount of information. I just learned it. As a result of what my sponsor said, one day at work, out of the clear blue sky, I quit working for this company, and I did not tell them that I quit. Sitting at the same desk doing the same job, I just quit working for the company. I decided whatever they put in front of me, I was going to do. The key word is do. The best job I could, and the only one I was going to try and please was me. I fell in love with my job. At 5 years of sobriety, I was called into the division manager's office. I found out that I had been selected as one of the best employees in a very large corporation. I walked out of his office in tears. He did not know I was an alcoholic. He did not know where I came from. All he knew is he had a responsible employee. So now I'm 86 years old, still active in AA, still trying to help others where I can. By the way, God had more plans for me. In my 80s, I met a lady who had also got sober in 1984. We have been married 4 years, just a couple of super seniors, walking the path that God has put us on. You want to know what the miracle is? Waking up in the middle of the night holding hands. That is the third step, working in our lives. Chuck H.